Welcome the timeless forgotten mystery. Hello friends. On the 20th of July, 1969, the Lunar Module of the Apollo 11 mission touched down on the Moon. Astronauts Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin were inside. After landing, Neil Armstrong tried to open the door to step onto the lunar surface. It wasn't easy because of the pressure difference, but after a short struggle, he managed to open it. Wearing his heavy spacesuit, he attempted to get out. The exit was so narrow that he accidentally hit the top, breaking off a small piece of the lunar module. Neither of them noticed, because in the absence of air, no sound was produced. What broke off was crucial: the ascent engine arming switch. Without it, the lunar module wouldn't be able to take off again, and they wouldn't have returned to Earth. Unaware of this, Armstrong stepped out and became the first human to set foot on the Moon. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. But did it truly happen? Even today, decades later, many people refuse to believe it. Some claim that America staged the entire mission on Earth. After all, how could a flag flutter where there is no air? Let's dive into the story and uncover the truth. The Apollo 11 mission was not just about space exploration, it was about the Cold War. At that time, America and the Soviet Union were locked in a space race. In 1957, the Soviet Union shocked the world by launching Sputnik, the first artificial satellite. Just 4 years later, in 1961, Yuri Gagarin became the first human in space. America was trailing, and President John F. Kennedy demanded answers. How could the US surpass the Soviets? Soon, he realized the next big step was to send humans to the Moon and bring them back safely. On May 25, 1961, Kennedy made his famous promise to land a man on the Moon before the decade ended. This was an unbelievable announcement, considering there were no smartphones, no internet, and computers were slow and primitive. Yet, billions of dollars were poured into the space program, and NASA worked relentlessly toward this one goal. Over the next few years, rockets, heat shields, and propulsion systems were tested again and again. In 1967, tragedy struck when Apollo 1's cabin caught fire, killing 3 astronauts. But NASA pressed on. Apollo 7 successfully sent humans into space in 1968, and Apollo 8 orbited the Moon the same year. Apollo 9 tested the Lunar Module, and Apollo 10 rehearsed every step except landing itself. Finally, in July 1969, Apollo 11 was ready. Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins embarked on this historic journey. The Saturn V rocket carried their spacecraft, which had 3 main parts: the command module, service module, and lunar module. Armstrong and Aldrin would descend to the Moon in the lunar module, while Collins remained in orbit aboard the command module. After traveling nearly 400,000 kilometers, the spacecraft reached the Moon's orbit. The lunar module, nicknamed Eagle, detached and began its descent. But alarms went off, codes 1201 and 1202, indicating the computer was overloaded. Mission Control told them to continue. At 150 meters, Armstrong noticed the landing site was full of boulders, so he manually piloted the module to a safer spot. Fuel was running dangerously low, only 5% remained. With just seconds left, Armstrong radioed back, "Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed." 650 million people around the world watched live as Armstrong stepped onto the Moon, followed by Aldrin. They collected samples, set up instruments, and planted the American flag. Among their equipment was a seismometer to measure moonquakes, a device to calculate the exact distance from Earth using lasers, and tools to capture solar winds. They collected 23 kilograms of lunar rock and dust before returning to the module. But when they returned, they discovered the broken switch needed to ignite the engine. Aldrin came up with a clever solution. He used a ballpoint pen to complete the circuit, saving the mission. The lunar module successfully reconnected with the command module, and together they returned to Earth. Even then, danger wasn't over. The service module's thrusters failed, scattering debris dangerously close to the command module. Miraculously, none of it struck the astronauts' capsule. The risk was so great that President Nixon had even prepared a speech in case they never returned. Thankfully, they survived, splashing down safely in the Pacific Ocean, where rescue teams brought them home. Afterward, the astronauts were quarantined for 2 weeks in case of unknown lunar pathogens. The mission had faced crisis after crisis, yet each was overcome. Kennedy's promise had been fulfilled. Before the decade ended, humans had landed on the Moon and returned safely. Still, conspiracy theories spread. Some argued the flag flooded, though in reality, it had a horizontal rod at the top, causing ripples. Others questioned why no stars were visible in photos, but the bright sunlight and reflective suits washed them out, just as a camera flash hides stars in night photos today. Shadows, too, appeared strange because light was reflected in all directions from the lunar surface. Despite endless theories, the Soviet Union itself acknowledged the landing, listing it as one of the greatest milestones in space history. Real criticism came from another angle: the cost. Billions were spent, while America faced poverty, inequality, and the Vietnam War. Many questioned whether the money could have been better used on education or healthcare. Yet, the Apollo program accelerated technology, especially in microchips, which fell drastically in price due to NASA's demand and paved the way for the computer revolution. From Apollo 11 to Apollo 17, humans landed on the moon 6 times, but not since 1972. The Apollo program cost over $100 billion in today's money, involving more than 400,000 people. Political and public pressure eventually ended it. Today, though, NASA's Artemis program aims to return humans to the moon, including the first woman and the first person of color, within this decade. So friends, whether you believe in conspiracy theories or not, one thing is clear: Apollo 11 changed history forever. Humanity's first steps on the moon prove that even the impossible could be achieved with vision, courage, and determination. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.